So today we're going to break down an absolute masterclass in strategy. We're looking at this incredibly tense standoff, not just as a story, but as a real case study in high-stakes thinking, where literally one wrong move could change everything. Let's get right into it.
I mean, this one line says it all, right? This is the moment. The pressure is just immense. The risks, they're absolute. You have one man about to bet his entire life on his ability to control a conversation before it even really starts.
So here's the scene. You've got one guy, Benedictus, and he's intentionally walked right into the lion's den. He's face-to-face with 4 armed men, and their backup? Oh, just another 20-plus guys about 100 meters away. The imbalance of power here is just staggering. You can feel the danger.
Okay, so to really get what's about to happen, you have to understand this term, Gambit. In a game of chess, it's when you sacrifice a pawn to get a better position on the board. In this situation, Benedictus is about to sacrifice his own safety, any appearance of strength, to gain something much, much bigger. Total strategic control. You know, in any kind of showdown, the person who speaks first, they usually get to set the terms of the fight. And Benedictus knows this. He is in a position of extreme weakness, so his first words have to be a perfectly calculated move to completely reframe the entire situation.
Just look at how he does it. It's like he's systematically dismantling a bomb. First he says who he is, and then he immediately gives them the power advantage, saying, clearly you have the advantage. It's disarming. Then he pivots, pointing out their shared patches, their tactics, and brings up a common enemy before suggesting they kick this off. He's not asking for permission. He's assuming they're already on the same team. And of course, here comes the pushback. This is what you'd expect, right? Captain Monroe, the leader, just lays the threat right on the table. This is the big test. Can Benedictus counter this raw display of force with nothing but strategy? And his counter? Oh, it's just brilliant. He doesn't argue. He actually agrees with them. You're absolutely correct. Then he immediately flips their own strengths back on them. He proves he's already been studying them. He knows their training, their tactics, and then he says, because you're professionals, you wouldn't be wasting your time on one guy unless you already thought he was valuable. He literally turns their threat into proof of his own importance.
All right, so the immediate danger is off the table. Now Benedictus shifts gears from just de-escalation to actually building an alliance. The game isn't about survival anymore. Now it's about creating a partnership. Let's see how he does it.
So, what about that common ground he brought up? That's the key, right? To build an alliance, you need a shared purpose, a common enemy so dangerous that it makes you forget you were just pointing guns at each other. So what could possibly be that big of a threat? Well, the answer is basically a technological nightmare. They're up against an unknown enemy that's using these highly advanced, incredibly lethal robots. And suddenly, Captain Monroe's group of well-armed soldiers doesn't seem so tough anymore. This is a fight they can't win with just bullets.
And what's wild here is the sheer difference in power. I mean, just look at these numbers. They're brutal. A single enemy robot took out 10 highly trained men in 5 minutes flat. And then it took more than 30 of Monroe's people just to take down that one unit. The math is not on their side. They are losing, and they're losing badly. Benedictus isn't just offering them some advice. He's offering them their only chance at survival.
Okay, so agreeing to something in the heat of the moment is one thing, but making it stick, especially under this kind of pressure, that takes something else entirely. This is the real turning point, where words have to become a solid pact.
And this is just another genius move. Benedictus makes it clear he's not there to take charge. He totally respects Monroe's authority and just offers himself up as a specialist, an advisor. By doing this, he makes the whole deal easier to swallow. He's not a threat to Monroe's leadership, he's a tool for him to use, and that distinction is critical. And then he makes it real. This isn't just a simple handshake. Those quick, deliberate cuts with the knife, that's a blood pact. It's a primal, symbolic ritual that takes their agreement way beyond just a conversation. It's this silent promise that they're both in this for life or death now. Okay, so the deal is done. The alliance is forged. The trust is there, even if it's a little shaky. And now, finally, we get to see what this was all about. What was the real purpose of this whole high-risk gambit? What's the actual plan?
So what's the plan? The target is this massive freight train. We're talking 70 cars and 2 engines. Right away, this tells you the scale of this operation. This isn't some small smash and grab. This is a major strategic strike. Benedictus didn't just show up with a crazy idea. He showed up with solid intel.
And get this, The timing is everything. The train used to run once a month, but now its schedule has accelerated. It's coming every 2 or 3 days. And the next one? It's arriving tonight at 9 p.m. The window to act is tiny, and it's right now, which explains exactly why Benedictus had to force this whole confrontation when he did. But there's a huge problem, one that Monroe's guys already figured out. This is some kind of high-tech train. You can't just have one of your guys jump in and start driving it. They don't have anyone who can do that. So how on earth does Benedictus plan to get around this massive flaw?
Turns out Benedictus already has the answer. He calls him Diamond. He's captured one of the enemy's own robots, reprogrammed it, and now it's under his command. This is his ace in the hole. The very same technology that's been destroying them is now about to be their greatest weapon. Diamond isn't just a piece of tech. He's the key that makes the entire heist possible.
And just to add one more layer of sheer strategic beauty, the attack is scheduled for tonight for one very specific reason. It's a new moon. He's using the cover of absolute total darkness. He's leveraging natural cycles to squeeze out every single advantage he can. I mean, this is planning on a whole other level.
Okay, now this is where things get really, really fascinating. This whole complex plan, this entire gambit, it was all written down. Not in some military briefing document, but as a poem.
Just look at how the lines of this poem are actually tactical commands. A plan of 8, that's a direct reference to a chessboard, framing this whole thing as a game of strategy. By dark new moon we are set to contend, that's literally the timing of the attack. And the final objective is perfectly clear. Checkmate. Total and complete victory. And this last part, this reveals the true genius of the whole gambit. They aren't going to break in. They're going to use the enemy's own systems, their rigid schedules, their automated crossings, and now their own reprogrammed robot to be welcomed in. They're turning the enemy's greatest strength, its predictable robotic system, into the very weapon that defeats it.
And that, right there, is the big lesson from this whole thing. Benedictus saw that his opponent's greatest strength, this super rigid discipline, their predictable logistics, was also their biggest weakness. And it leaves us with this huge question we should ask in any situation. How can you turn what your opponent thinks is their greatest strength into the very thing that leads to their downfall?